What's something that happened on a first date that made you decide against a second date? He got us pulled over, car was searched, and he had a brick of coke in the trunk. I almost got arrested. He finally vouched this was a blind date and I was innocent. One was the time I took this girl to dinner and she could not stop staring at our waiter. I'll grant her one thing, I'm a guy and can admit this guy was probably totally hot for anyone who prefers men. Square-jawed and muscled college athlete type. I get it. But I didn't appreciate that she literally craned her neck every time the kitchen door swung open to see if he was walking out. Eventually, I gave her enough cash to pay for my part of the meal, told her I'd noticed, as though I couldn't have, suggested to her that she could get his contact info when she paid the bill, and left. Edit, thanks for the awards everyone, this was a first date I hadn't thought about in decades, and now I get awards for it at least. Cheers everyone, and may all your first dates go more smoothly. He tried to change my order with the waitress, because I didn't order what he'd recommended. I picked her up and she asked me if we could stop by her mom's house so she could run in and grab something. I said sure. Made the stop. She went inside. 5 minutes later, she comes out hustling towards the car with a car seat and her mom chasing after her yelling. She opens the car door and throws the car seat, which I now see has a baby in it, and starts yelling at me to drive. I freaked and just turned my car off and took the keys out of the ignition. Her mom called the cops and they came and questioned all of us for a good while. Turns out she had lost custody due to drug use and was trying to use me as a way to get her kid back. We never made it to dinner and I just went home after the cops left. The guy told me he would still be together with his kid's mom if she had apologized for what she did wrong. Out of curiosity, I asked what she did wrong. Was expecting something like she cheated, something that actually needed apologizing for. Nope. Apparently she kept nagging one day and wouldn't shut up, so he tied her to a computer chair and went out for 3 hours and left her there. I said it doesn't sound like she was the one who needed to apologize and left. Went to dinner with a girl who I'd been crushing on for quite some time. It seemed to be going well, and we ended up back at her place, watching a movie or something. Out of nowhere, her boyfriend, of whom I was not aware, came back from out of town and stopped in unexpectedly. He and I had a super awkward conversation for a few minutes, then the two of them disappeared into another room for a minute or two. She came back, and said something to the effect of, "I don't have a place for you." I'm sorry. I just kind of got in my car and drove home, with one of the strangest feelings that I'd ever felt. At some point, a few minutes into the journey, I couldn't contain myself and busted out laughing. She took her hands off the wheel and said, "You think I'm crazy?" I literally jumped out at the next light. She kept writing to her friends on WhatsApp a play-by-play of the date instead of listening to me, so I stood up, paid my dinner and left because I found it disrespectful AF. Very recent asked when I would get a real career. I love what I do, I'm a union stagehand in a major entertainment city. I have been in my industry for over 20 years, toured the country, toured the world, make a comfortable living. Yeah, no. That's pretty demeaning and I'm out. He'd given me a fake name and was still in love with his ex. Who was 17. He was 29. No thanks dude. Her kid called me daddy. She clicked her fingers at the waitress. Stunning but vapid AF. 1. He tried to force a kiss. 2. He tried to get me to agree to marry him the next week. No, he wasn't an immigrant. 3. He said women were stupid and would believe anything he told them. I am a woman. 4. He said it was okay to drown puppies. It was actually humane. 5. He swore that it was impossible to get AIDS if you were straight. Found out a week later that he knew the whole time he was HIV positive. That's just some of them. Edit to add, y'all have me laughing here. No, not all the same guy. These are various different men throughout my lifetime, and in no particular order. I was writing them down as they came to mind. Can't believe I nearly forgot the one on number 5. Scariest of them all. He tried way too hard to get me to go home with him. Glad common sense won the day. I was 16, he was 18. Being told. The welts on my crotch aren't contagious. He insisted on paying for our dinner instead of going Dutch, and then totally stiffed the server. I tried to leave a tip and he got pissed at me because he was paying and it was his decision to tip or not. He just kept making a weird amount of jokes about tapeworms. Edit, wow, thanks for the upvotes. Also this happened while we were eating sushi, just in case anyone was wondering. He told me that he'd been kicked out of his church for being caught in bed with an underage girl, but it totally wasn't what it looked like. He told me his 14-year-old cousin seduced him when he was 21. And it was somehow her fault he molested her because she was asking for it, and she knew he hadn't had any in a long time. And he had recently been released from prison for it. I was newly out, and I had had a crush on her for ages, so when she asked me out I was so excited. She was pretty, smart, very laid back, and had a great sense of humor, so things were going great initially. End of the date comes around, and she very casually drops the bomb on me that she's involved in an open investigation for vehicular manslaughter. She even hinted that it was purposeful and did not seem regretful. That was the end of that. He said nothing. I get he was nervous, but I was engaging. I asked questions that should have led to at least a few sentences of conversation, but no, one-word answers. It was dinner and a movie, so our only opportunity to talk was dinner. It was like pulling teeth. No thanks, no second date. Went on a date with a woman from the office. Thought we had good chemistry and got along well. She couldn't find her phone, so I tried calling it and someone from the restaurant answered. I went back in for her to get it and the waiter showed me I was saved in her contacts under free food. I met her parents on the first date and she was terrified of me. Most awkward date ever. She asked if I could clean her pet rat cage or hold her rat while she cleans it. Also listed a number of handyman tasks she needed me to tackle. He was super pushy about me having a third drink and got mad when I refused. ETA, I totally see why lots of people are replying saying he probably drugged my drink, but I do not think that is the case, as I never left either of my first 2 beers unattended and he had been pestering me to order a third beer, which is what I refused. I am fairly sure he was trying to get enough drinks into me to lower my inhibitions, not to drug me himself, but regardless his behavior was inappropriate and a huge red flag. The fact that he got angry when I refused to drink more was the reddest flag. She wouldn't stop going on and on about how much she wanted a baby. Called it her little creation and how she wanted multiple, tried to convince me to come back to her place for some fun. I dropped her off and dipped right away. She texted me every now and then after trying to meet up again, hell nah. The girl who spent the first half of the dinner date talking about her irritable bowel syndrome and then switched to her love for God after the main course. We went to her place to watch movies, and we chose Kung Fu Panda 2. From the moment it began, she proceeded to cackle at every single joke. Anything that could even be perceived as mildly funny set her off, like the Wicked Witch of the West. I know some people have interesting laughs, and that wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't constant from beginning to end. After that, she put on Iron Man and same thing, which cackling the entire movie. There's a point in the movie where a character's phone goes off and the ringtone is an old Iron Man theme, which made me chuckle, at which she turns to me and says, "You laugh at all the weirdest parts." The second the movie was over, I got out of there and did not see her again. One time I went on a date with a girl and during the date she starts talking about future plans with me. She was talking about how we are going to have kids together and how we were going to go on trips with my brother and his wife. I was in my mid-20s and had just started my career when this happened, so of course this freaked me out. Who jumps to those kind of conclusions during the first date? It was super awkward after because she worked with my mom and kept asking about me. She showed up drunk to a casual daytime first date, at a bar I frequented heavily. Proceeded to order a premium Skinny Rocks margarita and downed it. Ordered a second one. Conversation was all over the place, I was pretty much done. I went to the bathroom, came back, she had another margarita being served. She went to the bathroom after that and the bartender, who I was pretty cool with, flat out asked me, "Seavast, bro, is she your date?" When she ordered the third one I said she needed to slow down, she told me it's okay, you were paying and you'd drive her home. I told him I'm going to bounce, if she doesn't pay her tab text me and let me know so I can pay it later. He was cool with that. So I left. She did pay her tab. She randomly texted me a few days later and asked if I was doing okay. I did not respond.